Voters cast their ballots absentee by mail, during our early voting period, and on Election Day. As we continue to process the 5.5 million ballots, I want to thank the hard work and dedication of election workers from across the state. From our 30,000 poll workers to our county boards of elections and our permanent state staff, everyone met the challenges of record turnout during a global pandemic with unparalleled professionalism. Their work is not yet complete. In the coming days, state and county staff will complete their post-election procedures. These include processing ballots that were voted on or before Election Day, researching provisional ballots, and conducting audits and verification measures. This work will include county-level canvass meetings on November 13th and a state board certification meeting on November 24th. As has been our constant refrain this election season, our job is to get the count right, as fast as we can, but above all, correct. We anticipate that some of the questions that will come for us today will ask to prognosticate who will the eventual winners be. That is not our job. The voters of North Carolina, after all eligible ballots are counted, will make that determination. Now I'm going to turn it over to Executive Director Karen Brinson Bell. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon. The actual casting of ballots has ended, but the election is not over. We want to explain what takes place now and throughout our canvass period until we certify the election and announce official results. At 12:28 a.m., our last set of unofficial election night results were uploaded. Nearly 5.5 million ballots were cast and counted. These unofficial results represent more than 977,000 absentee by mail ballots cast by 5 p.m. on Monday, November 2nd, 3.6 million ballots cast during the one-stop early voting period, and approximately 900,000 ballots cast at Election Day precincts yesterday. North Carolina stopped counting votes on election night because there were no more votes to count at that time. There are also no more ballots that can be cast for this election. All eligible ballots have already left the voters' hands. Just as is done with every election, today the county boards of elections across North Carolina began the post-election processes of researching provisional ballots and counting the provisional ballots cast by eligible voters, as well as accepting and counting absentee ballots that arrive by November 12th. Provided that they were postmarked by Election Day. Additionally, county boards of elections are processing voter history, conducting hand-to-eye audits, reconciling ballots cast to the number of voters who were recorded in the poll books, and many other election administration tasks to ensure the accuracy and the integrity of the election. This is the canvass process defined by North Carolina law and the process that occurs with every election by the election professionals across this great state. Regardless of vote differentials, we never stop counting until all eligible votes are counted and added to the final, certified, and audited results. And with that, we'll take your questions.
Our first question today is from Dewan Hogard with ABC 11 WTVD.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call. This first question can either be answered by Damon or Karen. When you take a look at some of the counties in the state where, for example, Pasquotank County, there's a 49, or Nash County, a 49 vote difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and albeit the numbers are unofficial, what does that say to you about the process that you all are going through in having to actually certify the election and go through your checks and balances?
So we don't look at specific contests in that regard. What we are doing is going through our processes, checking our chain of custody, looking at our reconciliation, determining if those provisional ballots through our research can be counted and added to the vote totals. And we'll continue these processes. We'll now look at the absentee ballots that were properly postmarked and determine if they can be counted. That's what we do in the Canvas, and until we have all the votes uploaded as part of our Canvas certification meeting, that's when we'll look to see what the vote margins are.
Our next question is from Jonathan Drew with the Associated Press.
Hi, I was wondering if you could give us an update on the number of outstanding ballots, outstanding absentee ballots, which stood at 117,000 as of yesterday. And also, is there any number you can give us on provisional ballots statewide? Thank you.
Yes. We are still collecting information on the provisional ballots. The counties have been sent a survey so that they can give us the count on the provisional ballots, and in compliance with Session Law 2020-17, we will have a report made publicly available by noon tomorrow at the latest. So we hope to have that as soon as possible. In terms of the absentee by mail ballots that were requested, but we do not have votes for those voters at this point in time, that is still at approximately 117,000. Because where we are now is that we have to watch for those ballots that may have been mailed back to the county boards of elections, ensure that they were properly postmarked. We also are going through the voter history process, which is a little lengthier because of the number of precincts that we have to process in order to get the voter history information to compare that to the absentee ballot requests.
We have a follow-up from Jonathan Drew with Associated Press.
Yes, I also wanted to ask, out of those 117,000, is there any way to use the ballot track system to see how many are currently in the mail or have been scanned in by the Postal Service? Thank you.
We are looking into whether that is a number that we could give a presentation from. We have to remember that there are barcodes that would be scanned at a mail distribution center that might be smudged or not correct, might have become damaged somehow in the mail stream. We also, the Postal Service actually had a process whereby they were gathering locally mailed election mail and delivering it to the County Board of Elections if that mail was delivered or was mailed within the county. If it was being sent out of county, that still went through a distribution center. So we are looking to make sure that if we do utilize any of the ballot tracks information, if that's an accurate piece of information that we could provide before we would release that.
Next question is from Grace Holland with WFMY News 2, Greensboro.
Hey, this is Grace Holland with WFMY News 2. How long is it going to take for ballots that we're receiving over the next few days to start being included into the count?
So we have to keep in mind that we have notice requirements by our state laws in regards to when absentee board meetings may be held. Those were announced prior to the election. What we have found with most counties is that they will be conducting that meeting on November the 12th. That is also traditionally when many of the county boards would hold their provisional ballot counting meetings, which is the day before county canvass. At this point in time, we have very few exceptions in terms of counties that would be holding meetings outside of November the 12th, or possibly just limiting it to November the 13th.
We have a follow-up from Grace Holland, WFMY.
Is it possible that North Carolina races, particularly the presidential race, which we are still waiting to be called, do you think that can be called before November the 12th with all these absentee ballots still out?
Well, as our chairman said, we aren't in the practice of calling winners of elections. We count the ballots and certify the results, and that will determine the winners.
Our next question is from Joe Bruno, WFOC-TV, Charlotte.
Hey, thanks for taking my question. Do you have a master list of when all the counties are conducting that absentee ballot review meeting that you could provide or release?
We surveyed them this morning to confirm those dates and times, so once we have that, you could reach out to our PIO, Joe, and get that information.
Next question is from Lecrae Mitchell with CBS News.
That 117,000, that does not include voters who may have applied for an absentee ballot but then decided to person, right?
I believe your question was, does the 117 approximate ballots include those who went and voted in person? It does not. We have well, let me say this. It does not include anyone who voted in person during the one-stop early voting period. It may include individuals who voted yesterday in person during Election Day, and until we complete the voter history process where we upload the poll book data, which in some counties is a manual process, we will not be able to reconcile those absentee ballot request numbers against those who voted on Election Day.
We have a follow-up from Lecrae Mitchell, CBS News.
Am I clear in that we will not, the 117,000 will not be able to start being counted until those county board meetings take place? No sooner, right?
They would be counted during an absentee board meeting. That is correct. So, if a county holds one prior to November the 12th, they could consider those absentee ballots. But in most cases, the counties are going to be meeting November the 12th or perhaps November the 13th.
The next question is from Diane Gallagher with CNN.
I'm not able to hear the question.
Sorry, hopefully you can hear me now. Is there any, as far as provisional ballots, those will also be announced? I know that you post an amount of them, but results for those will not be fed in until the 12th, correct? Or until the 13th when they canvass?
Yes, that is correct. The county boards will meet in order to consider provisional ballots, and in most cases that will either be the 12th or perhaps the 13th.
We have a follow-up from Diane Gallagher.
So it is safe to say that North Carolina's numbers are not going to move until November 13th.
Very few exceptions would North Carolina's numbers move before the 12th or the 13th. That's correct.
Our next question is from Kim King with WLOS-TV, Asheville.
Kim, I'm not able to hear you.
Kim King, WLOS-TV, are you there? Okay, we'll go to Teresa Bowles from WITN-TV.
Hey, hopefully you can hear me. Teresa Bowles with WITN in Greenville, North Carolina. Can you talk about this process versus other processes in the past? Has it been slower due to the pandemic? Is this process going to take longer because of more absentee ballots? What's the process been like for you guys?
My 14 years of election administration, this is pretty step for step what we have done in North Carolina for some time now.
Our next question is from Paul Wolverton with the USA Today Network.
Yes, hello. Regarding the outstanding absentee by mail ballots, do you guys have some data or history on what percentage at this point would typically be returned? Because it seems unlikely all of them will be coming back.
We don't have a good comparison when it comes to absentee by mail ballots, just because This is such an unusual year. Typically, we only see 3 to 5% of our ballots cast absentee by mail, and obviously we far exceeded that with this election. So I think a comparison would be difficult to make. In terms of our provisional ballots, we do know that in 2016, we had approximately 61,000 provisional ballots, and approximately 27,000 of those were counted.